Hello, and welcome to Dolphin Dive, the weekly strategically minded Handelabra stream hosted by LogicDolphin. Handelabra believes in civil rights for everyone and in being as inclusive as possible, so any comments or activity actively working against those goals are not welcome and will not be tolerated. Let us begin. New game, 2 boards, any complexity, random adversary, no supporting adversary, and I don't know why France is on 1. We set things to 3 last week, but whatever. Last week we played a diversity of spirits, which means that this week we're playing elemental invocation. For those of you just tuning in, we're going through the scenarios one by one each week. I don't know why I said just tuning in. I didn't even announce that yet. But for the past month and going into the next 2 months, we're going through these scenarios one by one. Sure be nice if I had an intro to this instead of just jumping in. But anyway, this is what the gods have given me. We have Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares. Setup, put 2 presents on your starting board in the highest numbered sands. Special rules, to dream 1,000 deaths. Your powers never cause damage, nor can they destroy anything other than your own presence. When your powers would destroy or deal enough damage to destroy invaders, generate 0, 2, or 5 fear instead for each explorer, town, city. The power pushes all explorers and towns it would destroy. So, no actual destruction off of Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares, but we also have the innate powers spirits may yet dream. At 2 moon, 2 air, turn any face down fear card face up. At 3 moon, target spirit gains an element they have at least 1 of. Night terrors, at 1 moon, 1 air, 1 fear. At 2 moon, 1 air, 1 animal plus 1 fear. At 3 moon, 2 air, 1 animal plus 1 fear. This is the very fear spirit. Growth options, we have reclaim cards, gain power card. Reclaim 1, add a presence at range 0. Gain a power card, add a presence at range 1. Add a presence to land with Dawn or Invaders at range 4 and gain 2 energy. And then those are the cards. From the base set, so certainly everyone's seen these a million times, but still worth going through. We also have Many Minds, move as 1. Setup. Put 1 presence and 1 beasts on your starting board in a land with beasts. Note that you have 5 unique power cards. And special rules. Fly fast as thought. When you gather or push beasts, they may come from or go to lands up to 2 distance away. And a joining of swarms and flocks. Your sacred states may also count as beasts. Yay! The Beastie Spirit. The innate powers. The teaming host arrives. 2 air, 1 animal, gather up to 1 beasts. 3 air, 1 water, 2 animal. Instead, gather up to 1 beasts per air you have. And at 1 fire, 4 air, 2 animal, push up to 3 beasts. Why do we care about all the beasts? Well, beset and confound the invaders. The beasts count below checks the number of beasts in the target land. At 1 air, 2 animal, 2 beasts, 2 fear and defend 2. At 2 air, 3 animal, 3 beasts, instead 3 fear and defend 4. At 3 air, 4 animal, 4 beasts, instead 4 fear and defend 7. And at 4 air, 1 earth, 5 animal, 5 beasts, instead 6 fear and defend 10. Fear, fear, fear. I forgot to say that Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares gets up to 5 energy per turn, 3 card plays per turn, starts at 2 energy and 2 card plays respectively. Gets an air, a moon, and 2 ennies on the presence tracks. Many Minds moves as 1, starts at 0 energy per turn and 1 card play. Gets up to 4 energy and 5 card plays. And has an air, an animal, as well as a pay 2 energy to gain a power card. Which is nice, since the only other way of gaining power cards is off the reclaim. You can reclaim all, gain power card, add a presence range 1, add a presence range 0, add a presence and a beast's range 3, gain 1 energy, gather up to 1 beasts into a land at range 2. And then these are the unique power cards. We start with 5 of them, which is more than 4. Alright, and then we have France, and I'm playing on France 3. You have the additional loss condition of sprawling plantations. There is a limit of 7 towns per starting board. Invaders win if you ever cannot place a town. The escalation is demand for new cash crops. After exploring on each board, pick a land of the shown terrain if it has buildings, add a blight, otherwise add a town. We have Frontier Explorers, except during setup after invaders successfully explore into a land which had no buildings, add an explorer there. Slave labor. During setup, put the Slave Rebellion event under the top 3 cards of the event deck. After invaders build on a land with 2 explorers or more, replace all but 1 explorer there with an equal number of towns. And the Slave Rebellion event card is here. Basically adds strife to towns. Dahan deal damage. Or invaders strife take damage per Dahan present, and we add a Dahan per building that this card destroys. Blah blah blah. We also have early plantations. During setup on each board, add a town to the highest numbered land without towns, and add a town to land number 1. Very town heavy, but we're also having to pay attention to the town counts, which would be bad. Elemental Invocation is the scenario. As we said, we're doing 1 scenario per week. The spirits can call forth wellsprings of essence to empower small areas of the island, strengthening and aligning nature with a particular element. This is fortunate, for the invaders are encroaching more strongly than before. Recommendations and notes. This scenario magnifies the effects of experience. Veteran players may find it +0 difficulty or easier, especially for explosive early game spirits, while new players may find it +2 or +3 difficulty. This scenario is notably easier for spirits with innate powers that benefit easily from a 1 element boost, such as Starlight Seeks' form, or are extremely strong or efficient at high levels, such as Serpent slumbering beneath the island. The scenario is notably harder for spirits which use few or no elements for land targeting powers, such as Vital Strength of the Earth, or for spirits with very tight energy income. So what does Elemental Invocation do? Setup changes. On each board, add a town to land number 6, add 1 fear card to terror level 1, accelerate the invader deck. Discard the topmost card of the lowest invader stage on the deck. At setup, this will nearly always be stage 1. All bad things. So what do you get in exchange? Rules changes. Placing elements. Once per spirit phase, each spirit may pay energy to place 1 element marker on a corner of one of their lands, i.e. at an intersection of 3+ lands oceans, or of 2+ lands oceans and the board edge. Each corner can hold only 1 element's marker. They are permanent. The cost is 1 energy plus 1 energy per adjacent corner that already has an element marker, adjacent meaning along land boundaries. Spirits may only place element markers which they have on a power card in hand, play, or discard. So you cannot place an animal if you do not have a card that grants animal. What's the purpose of these elements? When using a land targeting power, the power gains all elements on the target land's corners, so elemental thresholds can be reached more easily when targeting certain lands. Each element marker on the board counts as 2 energy towards choice events aided by that element. However, element markers do not help spirit targeting powers or special rules that check how many elements you have, such as Swiftness of Lightning. The bonus only applies once the power has targeted the land, so it cannot help with such as thresholds that boost range or make a power fast. So, bonus elements. That's pretty much what Elemental Invocation is all about, if you couldn't figure out by the name. We have 2 spirits that get benefits from air and animal, so kind of nice. Air is certainly very strong here. I guess the thing to bear in mind is that Spirits May Dream does not get benefited. Night Terrors does, but only slightly air, mostly moon and animal, but slight animal. I guess having an animal guarantees we can get the plus fear without needing an animal card, for instance. Animal on the right side would help with getting defend, although this also requires beasts, which is not elements. And air, which would certainly help with gathering beasts. Gather up to 1 beast per air you have. I wonder, because it says power gains all elements on the target land's corners, so elemental thresholds can be reached more easily. It doesn't count as elements you have, though, right? So gather up to 1 beast per air you have. I can hit this threshold, but have fewer air than 3, I guess, but details. All right. Let's begin. It says difficulty 8 on here. The scenario was difficulty 1, the adversary is difficulty 7. We're discarding the mountain card. And then they're exploring wetlands. So we start with a lot more towns on the board because the scenario also added a town. We have a town in land 6. We also have a town in the highest numbered land without towns and a town in land 1. So town in 8 on both boards, town on 1, unless this was a setup town. The setup symbol is to Dahan. The setup symbol is town. So actually the town here was starting at 7. Okay. And now they accelerated the invader deck, so they discarded the mountain card. And that's going to screw with my timing for Slave Rebellion, although I could look at the event discard to bear in mind, but Slave Rebellion is under the top 3 cards of the event deck, which means it pops up on turn 4, if you can do the math. So keep that in mind. Anyway, wetlands, 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 wetlands. And we have Bringer, and we have many mines. And Bringer, could we do a pretty good Call of Midnight Streams? We could get 4 Dahan in a single land. Do these powers move Dahan? I haven't played with this spirit too much, but certainly it's all beasts related. Up to 2 Dahan may move with it for part or all of the way. So that could help if beasts were in Dahan lands, or could be in a Dahan land, but the 2 lands I'm really looking at are B3 and G7, since there's a lot of Dahan between those 2, but the beasts are not really anywhere close for that. We could add a beasts to one of those lands, range 3 stuff. Also bear in mind that we have to spend energy to place element markers, and the cost is 1 energy plus 1 energy per adjacent corner that has an element marker. So energy is going to be very important in this game, and I'm starting with a spirit that has plus 0 energy innately, but could get up to 4. Growth option 3 gains in energy as well. Bringer, we tend to start up the energy track most times anyway, right? So I'm not really worried about energy here. But well, that was an early time for my devices to disconnect. What I was saying was, what should I do with these ravages? The answer might surprise you. Each of target spirit's presence grants defend 1, together with Dread Apparitions defend per fear. We also have this defend. So we're very, like, defend heavy. G4 could be easily defended, but there's not really... I mean, there's the Dahan in there, but there's only 1 town and 1 explorer that's going to be there. B6 is building a city, B1 is building a city. These 2 would kind of be nice to try to deal with at once, but kind of tricky to get enough Dahan in there, let alone make sure we can defend enough. Is there a way we could prevent a build with Pursue with Scratches? For each beast's past the first, push 1 Explorer town. Assuming that we can even hit like a threshold, we might be able to gather a beasts, and bear in mind we can gather at range 2. We could remove up to half a beast in target land. For each beast, remove 2 fear and skip 1 invader action. Probably not super useful to prevent cities, as cities aren't really that risky. I don't know yet about many mines, but for Bringer... I mean, I assume that, like, Beset and Confound the Invaders and G4 would just be, like, the easiest thing I could... Oh, there's also Dahan here. If I could do Defend 4 and Defend at least 1 in B1, that would be cool. That will require 3 Dahan, as well as a number of elements. Most of my cards grant air. All of them grant animal. All but 1 grant air, except for Ever Multiplying Swarm. So all I would need is an extra animal on one of these corners next turn. And I get the 2 air, 3 animal, and then I also need 3 beasts in here, which probably playing Ever Multiplying Swarm this turn would be the most useful for that. If I do that, I'm spending an energy, so for me to place an element down, I would need to also go up the energy track, which means this is the only card I'm playing. So I think that's what I'm going to do. This does also add a presence in a beasts. So I can potentially... Oh yeah, that's the element one. So if I add the thing there, also adds the beasts. I could also gather beasts here at range 1. Or range 2, but yeah, range 2, but yeah, I can gather... This is kind of interesting as it says range 2, so I could target a land as 2 away, but I could also gather 2 away. So for instance, this beast could just move over into G3. I don't have range into G7 though, but that's kind of interesting. Can really make beasts move far. But I think what I want is to actually gather one of these 2 beasts into that land. And actually, I don't need to add 2 beasts. If I have an heir, I can gather a beast with Teeming Host arrives. Although I need an animal here anyway. Although if I do gather a beasts, I can actually push the explorer and town out, but... I don't have a sacred site, so I can't use that one. These don't require sacred sites, do they? The others don't. It's probably just better to put 2 beasts down here. I don't get to gather, but I can put an animal down. I feel like animal is going to be very useful for defend, so I want this to be on a corner that we'll see a lot, which is really just 3 lands. But I'm probably going to put it on this corner here as... Well, we already explored mountains, so the next is either jungle or sands, so this one would be better, I guess. Oops. Alright, so we're infused with animal into B1. Now for Bringer. We could potentially try to gather a bunch of Dahan into one land, and then use Calling Midnight Streams this turn. But... I would want to get Dahan into G4, and at most there'd be 3 Dahan in G4. I think Dreams of the Dahan are going to be used anyway. Any reason to do Predatory Nightmares? If we do Predatory Nightmares, we could just damage the town in G4. I don't even need to gather Dahan into there. I mean, again, know that either Sands or Jungle is the next Explorer, so I could set up for Dreams of the Dahan next, or not set up for it, but... save it for the next turn. So I know where, when they explore, I could set up the Dahan in there. So maybe I don't gain a major this turn. Maybe I could take a minor. Except if I'm playing Predatory Nightmares, I'm not going to have energy to place an element down unless I take energy off here. I don't really want to play Dreams of the Dawn this turn, but I might have to. I'm definitely not playing Dread Apparitions if I'm not playing Call of Midnight's Dreams. Then what am I doing? But maybe I just say screw it and I throw a bunch of Dahan in the G7. If there's no Dahan in B3, I don't really care about B3 as much, but G7, if they do explore there, it would be a city and I'd have to be a little worried, although maybe towns I have to be a little more worried about. So I guess I do set up for that. Get the energy, do this and this, and if I do take a moon, I will immediately be able to get extra fear. I can't get the moon here because it's not a land targeting power. Problem is that moon doesn't benefit many mines. Could take air, but I don't really need that much air. I have an innate air. These only require 2 air at most, and most of my cards give me air. Animal would guarantee I can always hit the upper thresholds of Night Terrors. And it would help ensure that we can use Beset and Confound, although that also requires air, but little less. So is it more useful for me to consistently generate fear? I mean, I feel like the animal is just going to be more useful because I only have 2 animal cards, and one of which I tend to forget almost immediately anyway. And it helps many mines. So I guess I'm going to add an animal, even if it's not going to do much right away. And hedge our bets between sands and jungle. I guess these 3 are all equally useful. I guess the one that's blighted is more useful, and then maybe it would help with G4. I don't know. So animal there. Okay. I think we're just going to put a bunch of animals on the island is what this is going to turn into. So before I forget calling Midnight Streams, I could potentially lose the moon and animal. So let's use up our innates. So look at the fear card. Top one says each player may push a Dahan from a land with invaders or gather a Dahan into a land with invaders. That's Dahan Enheartened. Don't think it'll be immediately useful. Let's get that fear. Let's gather Dahan here. And then Midnight Streams. Gain a major. The Unlock the Gates temptation. That said, Insatiable Hunger of the Swarm is really tempting. If we're putting a lot of animals down on the island, should be able to repeat this pretty effectively. Or very, yeah. Very consistently. Also adds beasts, gathers beasts. Beasts do fear, invaders, and damage to Han. Does 1 fear. There's another card that John and I were talking about that says do 1 fear, and John's like, what cards do fear? Well, this card does fear, doesn't it? Doesn't even say max. Does fear max 4 or whatever. Could we just win the game by spamming this? Add 2 beasts, gather up to 2 beasts, and then is there a land where that'll be super useful? We could. I mean, the thing is though, this is bringer, so it's fake damage. Although since it is fake damage, that means it doesn't damage the Dahan. Doesn't destroy the beasts either. Because I cannot destroy anything other than my own presence. I can never do damage. So I can add 2 beasts, gather the beast into G2, deal 3 fear, 6 damage to invaders, which kills, quote unquote, the city, generating 5 fear. And then doesn't destroy a Dahan. Or it doesn't destroy beasts. Ooh, boy. That's mighty tempting. It does add a blight, and then doing that in G2 is risky then because I have to deal with the blight next turn or prevent the ravage somehow. But what if I just like spam reclaim 0, like reclaim 1 for the rest of the game and just insatiable hunger and slowly build up fear? There's no cap on this beast's fear. Should I do it? So if I do it in G2, I'm most certainly going to dread apparitions in there. Well, I don't have to do it in G2 this turn. And since dread apparitions also defends based on generated fear, I could insatiable hunger there next turn. Oh boy, that's something. Unlock the Gates is also here. It's not a land targeting power, so I can't guarantee I hit that threshold, but it is tempting to just click Unlock the Gates and spam it for majors, but... Twisted Flowers... Not hitting that threshold. Thickets erupt. That removes blight. Alright, I'm taking Insatiable Hunger and you can't stop me. And I think... let's try to just like do it here. Push this town. I want to keep the beasts close to G2 for next turn. They're going jungles. Of course, I just removed those. I just removed the town, so they put an extra explorer there, but might be okay. It does have a blight now, so probably not super nice. Let's add the beasts here. Okay. So our plan for B1 is B set. I do have to be mindful that if I put another token next to this animal, it's going to cost an extra energy. So this one or this one. Wish I had more Dahan nearby. I guess I could put a presence in B8 and the beasts, and then use Boon of Swarming Bedevilment. Not that one. Guide the way on feathered wings to move the 2 Dahan from B8 into B1. I have to play. I would want to play 2 cards. None of my cards cost energy though, so if I click this and I do something like this. I don't need to gather more into there. don't have range to G2 right now. But if I decide I want to put more beasts there to defend their next turn, I want that card. I don't have range to G6. I don't have a Sacred Site right now. Probably should be putting Sacred Sites down as they count as beasts, but I've been doing growth option 3 for beasts and energy. This also is sort of a beast adding thing, but details. We don't need the defend on Bringer this turn. Okay, so Bringer's doing this. The downside of that is I don't have energy to put an element down. So maybe I don't do that? I want to spam Insatiable Hunger for the rest of the game. What I want to do. I guess I don't really get that much fear this turn if I go that route, though. So let's take that back. Maybe I don't. Are we losing the game this turn, by the way? We're building 4 towns. No. I could gain a power. Maybe get something that defends. I do have to be mindful about G7 this turn. Let's click this. I'm committing to it. Sap the Strength is defend 5. That would be enough for G7 next turn. Prowling Panthers adds beasts. I like beasts. Animated Rackroot. 1 fear, but doesn't destroy an explorer. It would just push it. I guess it's Sap the Strength for defend G7. So I'm playing these 2 powers this turn. This is presence at range 1. If I do decide to reclaim 1 on a future turn, I want to have more lands with single presence so I don't lose too many. Like, I don't super stack presences that much. Although I do have a card that says defend per presence. But I don't know what my plan for G6 is. This is a Blight. I probably will defend this. This is defended. That's a Blight. And also we have these builds to worry about. I'm not really worried about this one. It's going to get defended next turn. This one will probably get defended next turn. So G6 and B4 and both are blighted, which is kind of bad. So I don't have a Sacred Site for this one. I'm looking at this one to try to maybe get the water. If I put an air down, I could get more more beasts into B4 to help with defending. Well, I can't defend multiple, but I can prevent the Ravage. Honestly, it'd be better if we could prevent the build, but I don't have sacred sites. The problem is, I don't really want Boon of Soaring Bedevilment this turn. That said, if I put a presence in G4, I don't have to defend it with Dread Apparitions. The main issue with that is that I don't really have another card to play other than Predatory Nightmares, but let's say I do this, I play that. It just seems silly to not play and get more fear. Bear in mind that we do have Push a Dahan from a land with invaders or Gather Dahan into a land with invaders coming up. Wait, is this... It's one explorer and one town. Hold on, can I just play this? And then push these guys out? Can play more cards. Yeah, so I'm defending G4 myself then, right? So I want to use... I was going to use this here, but... Oh, and I didn't place elements down anywhere. I was going to put something down here to put more beasts in here for next turn, but I think I can prevent this build. Which means I could just focus my efforts on defending B4 next turn. I need 3 beasts in here. There's 2 in there, so I can gather 1 from B1. Obviously, I need to use the defend in B1 first. Or, well... If I had an heir... It wouldn't matter, because I don't have enough animal. Okay, so I'm not... getting... Okay. So I don't need the animal or heir in this one. I'm not getting the defend 7. Wait. Does that mean I need more defend in this land? Oh. For some reason I thought I had more defend. This targets another spirit, so it's not me. Uh-huh. Well, whatever. Yeah, I only have 2 air, 2 animal. I have a 3rd animal if I target that land, but I need another air and another animal to hit the upper threshold, so I only have defend 4 here. I could use Pursue with Scratches to make sure this doesn't blate, but I feel like I'm just not going to bother, and I'm going to instead prevent a build with this. But I do want to make sure that B4 has enough defend, and it's going to have 2 towns and an explorer in there next turn, so I need to make sure that I have like enough beasts in there, and I don't know that I am going to have enough beasts in there, but we'll just... I guess no, it just needs 2 beasts and I can prevent an action. Or something. I don't know. Let's just put more animals then. Oh, I can't really target this other than hitting the 2 element ones. So stage 2, it's up in the air what comes. Let's just do animal here. And then for bringer, we can get an extra fear if I put moon down, but animal's probably still better for this power. Let's put animal here. Okay. So, defend. Then gather. Then pursue. Okay, so that's not building. Then we can move this beast's here, bringing the 2 to Han, and then here, bringing the 2 to Han. This is Dread Apparitions. This is Fear. And then I guess we have a Fear card that could maybe change how we do this turn, but I'm just gonna not go back. Each player adds Strife in a land with Presence. Alright, so if we get 2 more Fear off of the event card, then this land is fine. Mapmakers chart the wild. Ignore wilds during the explore step. On each board without wilds, explore actions add +1 explorer in each land successfully explored. Okay. Well, we have no wilds. Prey on the Heedless. In each land with beasts, 1 damage per beasts. Very good. Coming of Age. On each board, add Dahan to a land with Dahan and no Badlands, Beasts, Disease, or Wilds. Alright, that stops this build too. Also, we're super beasty. Strife in a land with Presence. I mean, we can... Yeah, we're getting that. We don't need it anymore. Is it better to put that off? I can get 1 fear if I kill the town and explorer. I think I put it off so I can prepare for that next turn better. Like, I can strife the 2 towns in B4. I can strife the town in G7 right now, but I don't really have a use for the other strife. So I think it's just going to be better to save that fear for next turn. Add Dahan to a land with Dahan and no other things. So this one is fine. This one will kill the explorer. That's fine too. Your card may push from a land with invaders or gather into a land with invaders. If our plan is now to strife everything in B4, I think I just want to gather 2 Dahan into there. B1 is done. B6 would just be Death Sentence. G2 is Death Sentence. There's enough Dahan in G7, so yeah, I think the only thing I want is to gather 2 Dahan into here. And the Wetlands Ravage. Build. Build. Mountain Explorer with Escalation. With plus Explorer, because plot. And now this is the escalation, so we pick a land with the shown terrain if his building's add a blight, otherwise add a town. On board G, it's going to be a blight. On board B, it would be a town in B7 or a blight in B2. Probably the town is better, although... I mean, it's... yeah. Next turn is going to suck no matter what. They're adding 4 towns. We have 4 on the island. This is defend 5. If I reclaim 1 for Insatiable Swarm next turn, I will not have the energy to also place an element marker. I don't really have a good place for Insatiable Swarm this turn anyway. If I push the town out of G8 into G7, it's not super good, as I'll have to deal with that next turn. I could reclaim one for Dread Apparitions. We do have this fear card that says add strife, but we're planning on doing that in B4. Yeah, it's defended. Pretty sure my plan is to prevent one of these builds with Dreadful Tide. We do have Boon of... Oh, we do have Boon of Soaring Bedevilment for G7. I can make sure there's 2 beasts in B7. Preventing that would prevent 3 towns. No, 2 towns. This is diseased, so it's not doing anything. Pushing this town, and I have the defend. Okay, so I think it's okay to do this because I can defend this. And bear in mind that Slave Rebellion is not this turn, but is next turn. So this growth option basically adds a beast. This growth option definitely adds a beast. But I have to make a Sacred Site this turn. If I'm strafing both the things in B4, I don't actually need to defend in B4 this turn. I just need to make sure there's 2 beasts in B7 and a Sacred Site near B7. Which could just be my own presence. This growth option, though, does add a beast and gathers a beast, and that guarantees there's 2 without needing to gather. Sacred Site, though, like, this gives me plus energy and gathers beast. This gives me plus energy as well. But I'm reclaiming next turn, so I'm probably just going to use this on, like, the other land or the same land or something. Oh, but I guess this growth option, if I put it in B7, I don't actually have that Sacred Site, so... This can also gather a Sacred Site, interestingly. Fear card says add a strife in a land with presence. So I need to have a presence in B4 as well. This is getting complicated. I will have this threshold, though, so I can gather 3 beasts. And even though I don't need this, this can only target land with invaders, but this does generate fear. So this is half round down. I just need 2 beasts in B7. This gathers 3. I don't see why I just gather all 3 into B7. I feel like I'm gonna have to use this growth option to place the sacred site down and use that to gather the sacred site into B4. So this will only have 1 beast in it, which is not enough for defend by any means, but I can hit the defend 4 and 3 fear in B7. Because there will be 3 beasts in there. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm putting the presence in the beasts here. And then I'm gonna gather my sacred site because it's a beasts. And this land has an adjacent animal, and it will have 3 beasts, so we will have the 3 fear and defend 4. I could hit more if I put another animal nearby, but I don't have enough beasts in there. We are going to prevent actions in there, so it's only going to have a town and 3 explorers, so defend 4 next turn would be good. I don't need to put an animal in there. So how many animal is too many animal? Should I consider air at some point? As air benefits both powers. Animal doesn't really benefit this power as much. I'm basically guaranteed to have the 2 animal. Air doesn't benefit Bringer at all. Animal barely benefits him. I feel like I want to put 1 air down just to make sure that I can hit an upper threshold if it so happens. So it's the air there. Alright, now for Bringer. So we're gonna get the boon of Swarming Bedevilment. Allows me to push one of my presents, and also each of my presents grants defend 1, and I have defend 5 here. So if I push this presence into G7, that's going to be 2 presents plus defend 5 against what is 8 damage, so it will be enough pending the event. We also have the Strife that can help. Although we want to really use it in B4, but really we need to find ways of dealing with G1 or G8 in the subsequent turns. Insatiable Hunger in G8 is tempting, but it is a Cascade. And would cost all of my energy this turn as I'm not getting more energy. Dreams of the Dahan, not useful this turn. Predatory Nightmares is not really that useful, period. And Dread Apparitions is not needed. So I think it's going to be a power card. I don't think it's going to be major. I only have 4 energy this turn, -1 for an element marker, minus another for adjacency, although I might hit somewhere, some other target somewhere. So let's click this. Let's make it minor. Mountain Jungle, defend 3. Well, that does defend G7 in a different way. And it does target mountains, which would be helpful for next turn. Veil the Knight's Hunt is all the elements, but not very good effects for Bringer. Energy would be nice, but not good elements. And then Thriving Choke Fungus, disease in Badlands, but not in mountains. This does push 3 Dahan, which can be helpful for dealing with ravages if we can defend. Like, for instance, we could sap the strength G8 next turn and use Veil of the Knight's Hunt to get 3 Dahan in their next turn. This has range 2. We could use it to stop a town in G1. Because we push the 2 explorers out, reduces or stops one of those explorers from turning into a town, and then they just build a city. And then we can use the push 3 Dahan G7 the G8 next turn. I can kind of dig that, and then we can forget this card later. This also would help with like G8, but this is enough to defend already. This generates fear as well, but not really worried about fear right now. We're generating fear very easily. Not to say that fear is a bad thing, but range 1 presence. We're pushing a presence into G7. And I want to try to like keep as many single presences so I can reclaim one later. This power is range 0 targeting invaders, so I might be useful for me to go into G8 just to make sure I do have a land with invaders next turn. These... And again, the conundrum, a moon gets me plus fear. An animal helps you a little bit, but you're not really doing much over here right now anyway. This one cares about animals, though. Not that we've really used it very effectively, but maybe someday. Three energy for that spot. Oh my god. Let's just do moon. Just so that we have some other elements, I guess. Alright. Maybe I should do this smart this turn. Look at the fear card first. We're definitely getting it. Each player moves an explorer or town from a land with beasts. Huh. Only once, though. So, like, we're getting 3 beasts in B7, but it doesn't matter how many beasts are in there, just that it's a land with beasts. We could certainly remove the town, but we're stopping the build there anyway, and we're going to defend that next turn, so it's not super helpful, but getting rid of the town does help with town counts. That defend. And then 1 damage for each Dahan. And push the explorers out. Removing from a land with beasts. Potentially we could just remove these explorers, but removing towns is better, isn't it? we can always remove an explorer there. So let's just push you into G2. It's a centered place anyway. Then, what do we need still? We're going to skip an invader action there, so... Gather 3 beasts. Let's keep those along the coast. Oh, I guess it does count as an heir for this, as I have another gather here. I could take 1 more beasts, remove 2 of them, and generate 4 fear. I only need to skip 1 invader action, because they're not going to explore there in the slow phase or whatever. Explore phase anyway. Is that beast worth more than 2 fear? I feel like it is. And... oh, but we do have this threshold then if I take that, so never mind. It's worth 3 fear. Except it wasn't. Wait. It's because I have 3 air. Oh, and they have 3 animal in that land. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm still just gonna gather 3. Okay, we have those 2 fear cards. And then Night Terrors. Okay. Accumulated Devastation. On each board during the first Ravage action, increase the total damage invaders deal to the land by the invader stage. Damage to Dahan in that land is not increased. Uh-huh. I think that's going to blight things. Territorial Beasts. On each board, isolate a land with beasts. 1 fear if invaders are present. Years of Health and Harmony. On each board with 5 or more Dahan, add Dahan to the land with the most Dahan. Isolate a land with beasts. B1 is coastal and wetlands. B7 is not going to get explored. It won't be a source of explorers, but B6 already is, and then B8 could be explored and could be missed, but B1 is more potent. And then G6 is the other land there. Add Dahan to the land with most Dahan. So here's where we're probably going to remove an explorer from a land with beasts to stop the Ravage from being terrible, because this is blighting and this is blighting due to the plus damage. It's not going to kill the Dahan here. I am going to lose my presence there. But if I remove this explorer with too many monsters, then this doesn't blight. And that blight's more important because it's a cascade. We only have 1 blight left in the card, by the way. Is it more useful to remove a town here and strife something in here? Like remove the town and explorer from here. Strife this town, strife a city. And then we don't worry about the Ravage anymore. We lose a fear if I do that. But we don't blight the island. Putting off the blighted island effect is probably better, as it could be a bad effect, could be a good effect, but with not many blight left on the card. But it does mean future events are going to, like this one that says accumulated devastation would have instead been the world's vibrance fades. Which is bad. We have Slave Rebellion next turn. What are our plans for Slave Rebellion? Strifing something in G1? Strifing. Well, you can only strife per board. They are putting a city there. That's Strife Town turning into a Dahan. Wouldn't really help with the Ravage immediately. Our plan was to defend G8, but we could try to do something more there on the future turn, I guess. In any case, one of these is definitely strifing. I think I'm gonna go the route where I just prevent this issue. Okay. Skip the build. Explore wetlands. Okay, so on board G, I'm absolutely putting a town there. On board B, oh boy, B1 is already isolated, so if I don't put the town there, they can't do anything there, but the alternative is B6, which is a cascade, and that blades the island. But it does, putting the town in B1 does give me a Slave Rebellion target on this board, so I think I'm going to do that. And yes, B6 is scary, but we're not worried about B6. Both of us are reclaiming all and gaining a power card. We want to get Dahan into G8, but we also want some solution for G1. So we click this, and this is... I don't really want to keep clicking minor, but... hands are very tied for board G as I'm playing Sap the Strength. I guess I don't have to. I'm doing Veil the Night's Hunt to push 3 Dahan from G7 to G8. Let's take a look at this. This is absolutely minor. Is there any reason it's not swarming wasps here? I don't think I'm going to be able to prevent the Blake this turn. Or prevent the Blighted Island. We're gonna Slave Rebellion this one. Let's use that symbol for Slave Rebellion. I guess I could Slave Rebellion there. I just need to figure out... I mean, let's see, we still have Boon of Storming and Bedevilment. The problem is my other power that gives me a lot of defend is only range 1. feel like this is always swarming wasps. The other ones aren't doing much. This gives me beasts and elements. How many towns are being added this turn? 7, but we're Slave Rebellion and defending and stuff. If I was gonna say if I strife in G8, but if I strife in G8, I can't also strife in G1. Is G1 just gonna lose its Dahan? If I strife in G8, then I just need defend 2, which Boon of Swarming Bedevilment gives me. I'd like to play Guide the Way on Feathered Wings, move 2 Dahan from B1 into B7, and defend B7. I feel like that's going to be fine. That's going to be a Blade. That's going to be fine. I just don't have a means of also protecting G1. Alright, so what am I doing here? So it was Guide the Way, Boon of Swarming Bedevilment. I'll have defend 4 in B7. Oh, I have another element I can put down. It's gonna have an extra beast in there, but that extra one's not gonna matter. I feel like I'm playing these 2 powers. 1 to get Dahan in G8, 1 to get Dahan out of G1, since I can't defend it. The problem is that G2 is also adding 4 towns. Can I do something about that? It says I have the threshold, but I don't really. But what if I were to like click this? I mean, I'm not gonna have energy to put another element marker down. So no, it's not that good. I mean, what if... I want to combine these two powers again, but I don't have energy for that. But this would combine to give me a lot of fear. I just can't do it. So the Dahan ones again. It's possible that the event or the fear card, the first event card is Slave Rebellion, but there's also a follow-up event card. Maybe the follow-up event card does something about G2. Maybe the fear card does something about G2. Could I maybe... No, I don't have range there. Well, I could, because this gathers beasts, which counts my sacred site. Like, maybe I let B7 Ravage. Because the island's blighting anyway. If I let B7 Ravage... So I'm not using this. We have the immediate elements for gather beasts per air, which gathers that sacred site and any 2 other beasts. Remove half round down to skip an invader action, and that stops the 4 towns in G2. That's the one I'm most worried about, just because that's adding, like, that's 4 of the 7 towns, and if I stop that, it helps a lot. Because otherwise, like, what, we're removing this town, removing the 2 towns there, I mean, you're almost defending this. That's removing 4 towns, but if I let this blight and I instead defend, or remove the 4 towns, or prevent the 4 towns there, it's a profit of 3 towns. Almost could even hit the one for push 3 beasts, which would allow me to just get 3 beasts in there and prevent the ravage, or defend 7, or not 7 in there, but a number in there. What if I were to use Insatiable Hunger? So we can gather 2 Dahan and G8 for free. And then Bunastormy Bedevilment does the defend plus the strife. Insatiable Hunger into G1. Adds 2, gathers 2. Doesn't actually damage Dahan. Doesn't actually destroy the beasts. We don't have the threshold because... See, the reason it says I have the threshold is because it's adding 1 moon, 1 air, and 4 animal to the thresholds, but there's no land where I even have 4 animals, so... If I do that in G1... Someone's gonna say, oh, you don't have range to G1. Well, I'm gonna have range after I get the presence in G8, but details. 2 beasts, so that's 4 beasts. 4 fear, 8 damage. The 2 towns are gonna get pushed out is the only downside of that. But I get 5 fear for destroying the city and 2 fear for destroying the towns, quote unquote. So that's like 9 fear plus the 4 off the card. And then with 4 beasts in there and the 2 air, I'm not gonna have the 3rd animal, but defend 2 would be enough. The 2 towns are out of there. I think that works pretty well then. So this is then dealt with. Slave Rebellion here, Slave Rebellion there, Ravage, Ravage, extra Blight. Island's gonna be super blighted, but we're also generating 1,000,000 fear, so we're just blazing through this game. Yeah? So knowledge of the Blight card might be more useful than knowledge of the next fear card. I guess this doesn't like change anything if I know what it is. Although, what if the Blight card says each spirit gains a minor power, plays it immediately, doesn't count as card plays, but counts as elements, blah, 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 and then I actually get the plus element on this. That plus element would give me would give me more fear in G1. Maybe that's a reason to do this one first, because we're always doing it here. Well, first I have to do that. You push, then insatiable hunger. Island is blighted. Blight corrodes the spirit. Each invader phase on each board destroy a presence in a land with blight. Okay. If I put the towns in here, it's going to be harder to defend this next turn. Alright, so then this is gather. Alright, we don't have the thing. Heard you like blight, so here's blight with your blight. Alright. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan, and each 1 damage and defend 3. Neat. Fear. Then we do this thing. Gather this guy. I need at least... Well, I guess I can take these guys, right? I could even take that guy. It's not doing anything. This guy's not doing anything. These aren't doing anything. Let's leave the 3 in there. No, let's not leave the 3 in there. Almost is coastal, but this is going to be gone. Just take that. This is a presence in a land with blight now, but now I can defend there. I can prevent that build. Now, Blighted Island, we're destroying a presence in a land with blight. Is it per board or per spirit? On each board. So this board, we don't have a presence in a land with blight. G5's not doing anything, so remove that guy. Oh my god, it's Slave Rebellion. No way. That one, that one. All right, new event. Oh boy, I've never seen this card before. This is a color. Far-off wars touch the island. Invaders from a different distant land, launch an assault upon the island while the invaders here rally together in a wave of nationalism. Defending the island with them might come at too high a price. Add a fear card to the top of the fear deck. On each board in the land with the most buildings, choose for that board either encourage destruction, for fear, destroy half of towns round up and half of cities round up, add 2 blight without cascading, Or blunt the offensive, destroy one town but do not gain fear. Okay. Ecosystem damage. On each board, add a Badlands to a land with Blade. Return to old pillars on each board to gather 1 or 2 Dahan into a land with Dahan setup symbols. Uh-huh. Add 2 Blight without cascading. We have 8. Did someone say Blight? Yes, exactly. Uh-huh. Alright, so we added an extra fear card. Fear card is there. B6 and G6. Those are the forced options here. This is removing... This is destroying 2 towns and 1 city. And it will add 2 Blight without cascading. I think that's worth it. That removes towns. It generates 4 fear. And then makes this easier to deal with next turn. We're still going to build a city and still adding 2 towns there, right? But yeah, I think that's encouraged destruction for sure. For G6, our option is to either 4 fear, destroy 1 town, add 2 blight, or destroy 1 town, but no fear. The thing is, 4 fear is a lot, because bear in mind, we're getting that fear card like right away. The problem is the 2 blight. Also bear in mind, we haven't ravaged yet, and we're getting 2 blight off that ravage, unless things change. So maybe I blunt the offensive on that board just because it's going to have the same town change effect. The question is ultimately, is 5 fear and 2 blight better than no blight? 5 fear is so much fear, though. It's so much fear. But we also have a lot of fear we're generating ourselves. I guess the question is, am I going to win the game before I run out of blight? Am I worried about this wetlands build? Or wetlands ravage? I mean, like... maybe I have to reclaim all to get this back to prevent one of these 2 ravages. We do still have sap strength. Probably that's going to have to go in G4, though. I think I'm going to take the careful option. Since we already have 4 fear cards, I feel like the 5th fear card's not going to super change our situation. So let's just do that. If we were like going to get to Terra level 3 with that, that absolutely would change, but I don't think we're going to get enough fear. Add a Badlands to a land with Blight. Should I just assume this is going to get defended with Dahan next turn? Like... feels hard for it to not be. It is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. But I should be able to defend 7 reliably. So I'm going to put the Badlands there. I don't know that I can defend this so easily, but it's the only other land here that's doing anything right now. They could explore jungle, I guess. I don't know. I'll put it there. Gather 1 or 2 Dahan into a land with Dahan setup symbols. Here's where I just move the mouse around and see what's flashing. Could also use this to see where the Dahan setup symbols are. It's G1 there, but it's not flashing because there's no neighboring Dahan. B8, but there's no neighboring Dahan there. Other than those 3. Is there a possibility this is defended off of a blight card? It's only, or not play card, fear card. There is 4. Oh, we do have this. Let's not forget, 1 damage and defend 3. Choose different land with Dahan and each 1 damage and defend 3. That would be enough here. Okay, so gather those 2 for sure. It's only 1 damage. Might as well just gather that, I guess. Panic ensues as the invaders are filled with abject terror. Dahan gained the edge. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan, and each 1 damage and defend 3. No way! 1 damage, defend 3. 1 damage, defend 3. Immigration slows. Skip the next normal build. The build card remains in place instead of shifting left. We do not have a Ravage next turn. Dahan attack. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan. 1 damage per Dahan there. Okay. The only blade is B2. That's not... There's no Dahan in there. That's covered. That's covered. That's covered. Nothing in there. So it's just this. Which does give me another fear card. And then another land where there's not really any point. Let's do this one. Oh, never mind. It's not going to kill the city. In that case, don't do that one. Not that one either. Just kidding. Oh. It's damage per Dahan. So that would kill everything. So I can push that Dahan out if the next card says that. Tall Tales of Savagery. Each player moves 2 explorers or a town from Dahan. Well, not many options left. Literally just that. Each player chooses a different land to isolate. Spreading timidity. Each player chooses a different land to isolate. Also defend 2 in those lands. Well, a lot of things that aren't helping with B2, is it? Alright, well, they're not building, but they're still exploring. So sands, mountains, coastal. Not mountains, what am I talking about? Sands, jungle, coastal. So G3 and B3 are 2 out of 3 misses. We could do it in B2 and get a defend 2, but we're out of fear cards and there's nothing else helping that. No. I think it's just G3 and B3. There's no coastal jungle. Isolating B6 would prevent visibility of B8, but might as well just isolate B8 if I'm doing that. Any reason to isolate G5 instead of G3? The 1 and 3 that they explore a blighted land instead of a 2-3 of an explorer? Sans. Okay, so let's just keep them out of the isolated land, so it's less to deal with. They're not ravaging this turn, no. So that means there's still 2 builds happening. We tried to prevent the G2 build, but they decided to just not build altogether. But now they're gonna build. Die insatiable hunger this turn. Let's see, we're 13 fear away from winning with no cities. The problem is that Bringer is bad at destroying cities. Or just destroying, period. And you don't currently really have much in the way of damage. Next presence is going to be 4 energy. You're still very energy starved. We don't need to defend this turn. Wish per Dahan. Are they in any lands? No, they're not in any lands with Dahan right now. That's so rude. I can combo Veil the Night's Hunt and Call to Isolation to prevent things. The problem is that really the big problem is the 4 towns here again. There's only 1 town there, only 1 town there, 2 towns there. We do have 10 towns on the cards, so I'm not, or 10 cards left in the box or whatever. So I'm not super worried about losing the towns. I would kind of like to win the game. Winning the game is generally better than not winning the game. Should I just, like, go ham on Insatiable Hunger this turn? Like... Say I do this. So I have 3 air, 2 animal. I need 2 more animal, but I use this to put an animal there. And then what if I just add presence into beasts? Yes, I know it's a super stack. Ignore that detail. Gather beasts. Add beasts. Add beasts. Add animal. You can also hover over here to see, like, oh yeah, there's 2 animal elements, 2 animal. So now this gives me 4 animals, so I can repeat this power on an adjacent land. So how many beasts are even in this land? There's 4 right now, but I'm adding 2, gathering 2. So that's 8 beasts. I'm getting 8 fear. Yes, I'm adding a blight and it's cascading. Whatever. But that's 8 fear plus 5 off of the city. That gets me to terror level 3. It also gets rid of the 4 explorers in there, so they don't add a town. And I could repeat it in G5. Yes, it's a cascade. Yes, I know. I'm aware. I'm aware that both of those lands are cascades. Oh, I can't actually add a beast to that land. But that's details. I also get 4 fear on Beset and Confound the Invaders. Unfortunately, I don't get any fear off this. Or I guess I... Oh no, there's no invaders near where that moon is right now. But there could be. No, there can't be. But there could be. Actually, no, there will be, because I can push these things into G7. Yes, okay. So we'll have another moon, so it's another fear. Yes, yes. There's no water, so I can only gather 1 more beast in the G2 with this. Let's just go greedy. They're not ravaging this turn. The only bad thing that could happen is the event card says add 2 blight. Or add a blight, I guess. But I'll worry about that in the future. Uh-huh. What was I doing with Guide the Way to Feathered Wings? I played that for reasons. It moves beasts. I've called Isolation to push per Dahan. Was there a land I was going to do that in? I already forgot what I was doing. This goes there, right? Because that was 4 fear. Oh, this pushes 3 beasts. Look. Wait, no, it doesn't because I don't have... It lied to me. What am I missing for this? I'm missing an air? So if I do this, then I can push. Okay, so that is 2 more beasts in there. I'm trying to remember why I played this one. Where's the things I was pushing for that? Is it gonna be G5 for some reason? Well, let's do this. I think I could get more beasts in here, but let's do this. I destroy that one, except I don't. Aha! Aha! And I do it here. Okay. Now I can do night terrors here. I still don't know what I was doing with this. I played it for reasons. They're building a town in G2. They're building a city in B5. They're building a city there. I don't have like range on that board at all. All I can really do is push 2 explorers out, but it's still gonna build a city. But I mean, what, we're 10 fear away from winning? So what can I do instead of Call to Isolation that would be useful? Anything? I guess I clicked it because I was thinking that it does something slightly more than sap the strength, and it's free, so I could afford to put the animal down. Because I think that's the only other thing I can think for why I would play it. It's not doing anything right now, though. Yeah, I really don't know. Let's move this beast there. There. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing. I just want to get these 2 explorers out and not into the wetlands. And then push a Dahan into there. Yeah. Alright, on each board, destroy a presence in a land with blight. Only on board G again. It's gonna be that guy. think we lose. Life's web's torn asunder. On each board with 6 or more blight, add a blight to a land adjacent to blight. Casualties of Fang and Sting on each board. Destroy and explore a town and land with beasts. Keep far from the lands of plague on each board. Push 3 Han from lands with disease to lands without disease. Oh boy. Blight pool is run out. Oh man. To be fair, I got greedy that last turn. I did say I lose if the event card says add blight, and I should not have like had that be a problem. I just got greedy. I got greedy, man. Well, this is the first Dolphins dive loss in a while. 24 points, 0 for defeat, 16 for difficulty 8, 6 for the 6 invader cards not in the deck, 9 for the 18 surviving Dahan, -7 for the 15 Blight. Rip. But hey, we were like 10 fear away from winning. There honestly probably wasn't a reason to be that greedy. I do like getting rid of the 4 explorers in here. I probably didn't need to do that with all the blight effects though. How much blight is on this board? 3, 4, 5. So this event wouldn't have gone off on this board. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. But we added 4 blight that turn. So yeah, that event card wasn't doing anything to either board this turn until I did Insatiable Hunger. So that's a loss because of me. Oh no. Anyway. Well, you win some, you lose some. And I generally win. So I'm okay to take this loss. If I lost every week, I'd be upset. But I guess that means that I have to do this scenario again, since I technically did not win it. There's a check mark there for winning, but I didn't win it on stream, so therefore it doesn't count. However, that was a long game, so I don't think it's going to happen today. So, to be continued, or something. I don't know. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Be sure to check out Handelabra Live tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'm sure there'll be some preview of content before it is publicly available. Check me out next Monday at 6 p.m., where I will try Elemental Invocation again, but this time without a loss. I think I just assumed that I couldn't lose because of all the fear cards, but unfortunately the event goes first. So in the event that the event goes first, you lose in that event. Otherwise, it was a very eventful game, was it not? Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good night.